But let's keep on going. So, if f of x is equal to 2x squared plus 3x minus 1, find in its simplest form, and then it says f of this value, and now here it's asking to find x if our whole function is equal to this value. So let's just, actually, I'll give you a minute, try it on your own, and then unpause the video so you can see how I do each step. Okay, so f of 2 minus x. Idea is still the same. I'm doing exactly what I did before. I'm replacing every single time I have x with my new bracket. So the calculations might get a little ugly, but the idea is the same. So I got 2, and now instead of x, I've got 2 minus x squared plus 3 times 2 minus x minus 1. Hopefully it'll fit there. It should. And now f of 2 minus x is equal to, I've got a binomial expansion here. So if we remember in grade 9, or it's not grade 9, sorry, grade 10, I've got x minus y squared. So this is going to be 2. I'm going to leave that there for now. This is going to be squaring this. So I have 4 minus this times 2. So minus x times 2 is minus 2x, but then times 2 again is going to give me minus 4x, and then plus x squared, plus, and now this one's easy because I'm just applying this one number inside the bracket, 6 minus 3x minus 1. Now I have to open this next bracket. So I've got f of 2 minus x is equal to 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times minus 4 is minus 8, but this one has an x, so it's minus 8x, plus 2x squared, plus 6 minus 3 minus 1. I purposely didn't group anything yet because I wanted to show you. This is a constant because it doesn't have a variable. This is a constant, and this is a constant, so those three will get grouped together. And then the ones with x to the power 1, so this right here, and this one right here will get grouped together, and then obviously I only have one term that has x squared, so that doesn't get grouped with anything. So my final answer will be f of 2 minus x is equal to 2x squared. Now I've got negative 8 and a negative 3, so now it becomes even more negative, and I get negative 11x, and then here 8 plus 6 gives me 14, and 14 minus 1 gives me 13, so plus 13. And this should be my final answer. Okay. Hopefully I didn't make any calculation mistakes because it's 11 p.m. here and I'm pretty tired, but if I do make mistakes, it's probably just a calculation mistake. So let me know if I made any. Now, rinse and repeat with this, but this is actually a little bit easier because I don't actually have two terms inside. So f of x squared is just going to be 2, and now instead of x, I've got x squared, and then that whole bracket's going to get squared again, plus 3x squared minus 1. The 1 isn't affected by the x, right, because it doesn't have a variable in the first place. And now I just need to expand a little bit. Very short solution. F of x squared is going to be 2x squared squared again. When I have an exponent of an exponent, remember we multiply the powers. And 2 times 2 is just equal to 4, so 2x to the power of 4 plus 3x squared minus 1. And we're done. And finally, this one might be a tiny bit trickier, is now it's saying what is x in order for my function to give me minus 2. Here, I'm not replacing x with anything, I'm replacing my f of x with something. So now I've got minus 2 is equal to 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. And now, if we remember from grade 10, we have to move everything to one side and factor. So I get rid of this minus 2 by moving it over to the other side, and it becomes positive. So I get 0 is equal to 2x squared plus 3x minus 1 plus 2, and these two get grouped together, so I end up with 0 is equal to 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. And luckily for me, the numbers work out pretty well, so I don't need to use the quadratic formula and I won't run out of room, is I have a and c. So I just need to look at the factors of 2, right? And the factors of 2 are just going to be 1 and 2, right? 1 times 2. And I need them to add together to give me a positive 3, which it does. So I'm going to end up with 0 is equal to 2x squared. I break up this middle term. This is why we needed to know factoring really well from grade 10, right? Because the focus of this question has nothing to do with factoring. It assumes we know how to factor well, and it's just one of the steps of our question. So then we write 2x plus, well, 1x, but I just write x, so you don't have to write the 1, plus 1. And now I'm going to group these two terms together and these two terms together. So that 0 is equal to this and this both have 2x in common. So I'm going to factor out the 2x. And I'm left with x plus 1. Right? Because 2x squared divided by 2x, the 2's simplify, and the x squared and the x simplify to just leave me x. And then obviously 2x divided by itself, any number divided by itself is just going to give me 1. And then plus here, these two numbers look like they have nothing in common, but they have 1 in common. So I can factor out the 1. You don't need to write it. I'm just writing it now while I'm teaching so that it's clear that it's there. X plus 1. And now because this bracket and this bracket are the same, I can finally write my final step of 2x plus 1 and x plus 1. Now, we've done 99% of the work, but don't stop here because this isn't our actual final answer, right? I need to know what x value, so thinking back here, what x value do I need to have to make this minus 2? And in order to know that, I need to know the roots. So just looking at this one's easy because it's just going to be the opposite sign, so it's x equal to minus 1. And here, if you can't do it just by looking at it, and just notice that x is equal to minus 1 over 2, you can always solve it on the side. So if I wanted to, I could just do 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, and then solve for what x will be. And x will give me minus 1 over 2. Okay? So at this point in the video, just pause, think about it for a second if everything made sense. If you have any questions, write them down on the side so that you can ask me on Thursday when we see each other and I reteach this.